All right, I think we're going to get started here. Welcome everyone to our second Lenten service tonight, and it's exciting to have you guys with us this evening. And so, as it was last week, we have encouraged our confirmants, and they have done so cheerfully and wanting to help and be a part of the worship services, and they do a fantastic job. And so Chelsea and Jackson and Keegan are going to help lead us in our worship service. Hopefully that there's a bulletin on every table that you can refer to, and so I'm going to just call Chelsea to come on up, and Jackson, you can come on up too, and then Keegan will get you at the end or the conclusion to it. So let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Lord, have mercy.
Christ, have mercy.
Lord, have mercy. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. We will glory in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ,
in whom is our salvation, our life and resurrection.
Let us pray. Merciful assist us, O Lord God of our salvation, that we remember with joy the mighty acts whereby you have given us life everlasting through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you.
By your holy cross, you have redeemed the world.
Carrying the cross by himself, Jesus went out to the place called the place of the skull, which in Hebrew is called Golgotha. Although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before its shears is silent, so he did not open his mouth. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches, and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. The Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all.
For the transgressions of my people was he stricken.
Jesus.
Let us pray. Almighty God, whose beloved Son willingly endured the agony and shame of the cross for our redemption, give us courage to take up our cross and follow him, who lives and reigns forever and ever.
Amen.
Holy God, holy and mighty, holy and immortal, have mercy and hear us.
Thank you, Jackson and Chelsea, for leading us in this part of the service. At this time, I want to take the opportunity to introduce our guest speaker for this evening. Our guest speaker is Torri Beiningen, and I have watched her grow up and in this community. Her father was a classmate of mine, and went to school together, and I have fond memories of Tim. And yeah, I won't go any farther with those stories. So it's been fun to watch Tim's girls, Torri and Tammy, as they have become vital parts of this community here in Pelican Rapids, and especially Torri. Torri is a nurse at the Pelican Valley Nursing Home here, and has been there for a number of years. And I've had the privilege and the honor to watch her at work, especially at a bedside at a time of death. The first time that I experienced that, she was truly an angel. And I mean that sincerely. And I shared that with her after we had an opportunity to speak afterwards. The love and the care that she displayed in that moment was absolutely beautiful, was unbelievably beautiful. And so, Torri, thank you for what you give to those in need as you serve this community in this way. So I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Torri as she shares with us her faith.
Okay, you're going to have to forgive me because I'm a little sleepy. It was a long shift. But welcome and happy second week of Lent. So like you said, my name is Torri. I want to say thank you for letting me speak on what faith is and what it means to me when it's personal, with my family, and then also my job. So first of all, I'd like to speak on faith and what it is in general. What is faith? So in the Bible, in Hebrews 11, verse 6, it says, "Without faith, no one can please God. Anyone who comes to God must believe that he is real and that he rewards those who truly want to find him." Faith is based on the belief that we have a creator. We understand that our creator is like a good parent who loves us unconditionally, who wants to protect us, to guide us, to help his children. And like any good parent, he would never want to harm us and only wants what is best for us. So when our faith is strong and we have that absolute trust in God's love for us, regardless of circumstance. Now that's the tough part of faith, circumstance. Faith requires us to understand and accept God's expectations for us, brought to us by Jesus. God wants us to love others through genuine, sincere kindness, compassion. This means we will oftentimes in our life have to be humble. It's not always easy to do those things. It also means that we will not be critical or judgmental of others. We will not be hurtful or take advantage. Likewise, we will not treat others with indifference. We help those who need help. And when we are wronged, faith teaches us to forgive. If we love God and we do these things daily, constantly, not to just those who are close to us, but those like our friends and our families, but everyone we come in contact with. We will stumble, and we will ask God for forgiveness, and we will be forgiven if our faith remains strong. Faith reminds us that God wants us to join him in heaven, but our hearts must also reflect that. God's love, which we convey through our thoughts, the way we speak, how we treat others, and how we live our lives. Faith will compel us to invite God into our lives and into a relationship, and we strengthen that relationship with prayer. We should pray every day and throughout the day. It is impossible to pray too much. We can pray for protection, forgiveness, guidance, understanding, peace. We can express our love, our gratitude, our needs, our worries, our fears. We should pray boldly. Be generous with our prayers, especially with others. Trust that God will hear our prayers and respond. Listen and watch for ways God may be speaking to you, and those ways may not be in the form you understand or in the time frame that you might like. And when your prayers are unanswered, remember to give that thanks to God, because without prayer, we are strangers, and without faith, we are also strangers. Faith encourages us to place God in the center, the very forefront of our lives. We do not allow the material trappings and activities of the world distract us from living a life that honors God. So in a nutshell, that kind of is what faith means to me. So first, I'm going to talk about faith in my personal life. So in short, like I said, faith to me is holding on to God's promises and finding your own fulfilled. It's that unquestioning belief that doesn't require proof, it doesn't require evidence, it's just there. You believe. There have been countless times in my life that I've had to rely on my faith. It hasn't always been an easy road, needless to say. All people experience difficulties of one type or another. Doesn't matter your race, your gender, your economic background. If you're born into this world, there's going to be a stressor. My faith has helped me with stressors. How people handle those stressors in this life is very significant. Faith allows you to see a different perspective and continue to have that belief in something bigger than yourself. I feel that my faith has heightened that sense of my external control. And so what I kind of mean by that is when there is stress, I kind of get this sense of optimism. That optimism provides me a sense of hope despite my circumstance. Usually when we're relying on faith, it's a hard time. So faith gives me that conviction that there's always some solution with God on my side, that things will somehow work out. Faith also helps me when I'm confronted by defeat. Things go wrong, money isn't always enough, loss of loved ones, you name it, defeat. With God, I can more clearly see that stressor as a challenge, and then it kind of pushes me personally to work a little bit harder to figure that solution out, whatever it may be. Faith also helps me with my self-esteem, so that could go one of two ways. A strong faith kind of helps me think, if God thinks I'm worth it, I must be. If he's got my back, I think I'll do okay. So that's kind of a booster for my self-esteem. It kind of always feels like you're not alone. So like I said, my faith has kind of helped carry me through those difficult times in life. Growing up, I was fortunate enough to be raised by a man of God. So my dad was probably the most he had the most impact on me in my life, even as an adult. My sister and I lost him at a very young age. I was 16, junior in high school. I don't think anything in this life has shook my faith like that moment of losing my father. To this day, I have those moments still where it still will shake my faith. Loss makes you wonder, you want to blame, you want to, it's difficult. And faith, for sure, is shaken because you have no one to really blame when you lose. You have no one to really point the finger at. And so a lot of us oftentimes point it upward. God, why'd you do this to me? Why me? Why did I do this? It's almost as if we're blaming the Lord. My dad was such an important part of my faith. Growing up, he kind of raised us girls to believe that it's a relationship with God. It's not a religion. We kind of used to joke as we were younger, Dad, what do I define myself as? Am I Catholic? Am I Lutheran? Am I apostolic? Like, what is our faith? we kind of grew up in a smaller church before we came here to Trinity, and he used to always say, kiddos, you're Christian. Well, there's not a box that you get to check for Christian. Are you Lutheran? Are you Baptist? You know, there's all these different boxes, but never growing up anyways, one never said Christian. And he kind of explained that to us, that you believe in Jesus, and that's all that matters. And he taught me that, with teaching me that faith in God and is a relationship and not a religion, that box kind of didn't need to be there anymore. He taught me that faith is the foundation of that relationship with God. So when I lost my dad, like I said, I was young. I was still forming that faith, and it was shook. It took a lot of time and a lot of support. Man, I had an amazing support system. And in my benefit, all of those supporters happened to be men and women of faith as well. So the encouragement I got was always that positive, you can do it, you need anything, cry on my shoulder, whatever you need. So I'm always grateful, and I keep those people in the back of my mind, and I actually give them credit for the Christian I am today. Because had I not had that support in those difficult moments, I don't think I would be who I am. Alan and I kind of had a side conversation about those moments in life that are the most difficult kind of build you. I completely agree with that. Going through all those difficult moments in my life, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be as strong as I am. I kind of like to pride myself and my sister on our strength, because we have gone through a lot more than maybe your typical average American kid. We had to grow up quickly. But during that time, like I said, it took me a long time after my dad died, but it was my faith that kind of carried me through that whole situation. And it took me to realize that I was a part of God's world versus God being a part of my world. I think that once I figured that out, I kind of grew much more in my faith and in my spirituality, realizing that God is so much bigger than just me. Especially as a kid, it's super easy to think that, everybody in this room is staring at me. And, how many times has your mom or your sister or whatever been like, nobody really cares that much. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. Just grab the shoes, Put on the hat. It's not cool to be cold. Wear a coat. So like I said, once I realized I was a part of God's world, I kind of feel like that's when my faith really took off. Faith, like I said, has so much to do with our spiritual growth. Another thing that comes to my mind when I think of faith is forgiveness. In those weak moments or those down moments or those tough moments, Satan really desires you to feel lonely. You're all alone. You're fighting this battle by yourself. Nobody could even think of it, so don't even go out and try. I think we've all had that feeling of defeat, or I'm not even going to, go look for support because nobody would understand, whatever have you. But faith kind of reminds us that we're not that sin. We're not that sin that we committed, that we are worthy of forgiveness, and God is forgiving, and he will always provide what we need. So faith, in my opinion, kind of helps us internalize that forgiveness. You kind of have that feeling of, I went through the motions, I did ask God for forgiveness, I did say I'm sorry, but I still feel crummy. So for me, my faith kind of helps me believe that, yes, because I repented, I am truly forgiven, stop feeling guilty. Move on. So that's kind of how my faith is viewed personally. Faith and family, that's the next thing I'd kind of like to touch on. And like in our personal life, faith is a good foundation for a family or a marriage or a close, family unit if you happen to be the single mom, the single dad, whatever have you. A family built on faith promotes a familia harmony that encourages all family members to follow that same core set of values. We pass things on generational. One thing that comes to my mind is when people are in the military. my grandpa was a military guy, so my dad was a military guy, so in turn, I'm going to be a military guy. I think the same type of situational thing goes along with our faith. I can say that I'm a product of that. Had my dad not brought me to church on Sunday morning, had he not showed me the love of God, I wouldn't be here Sunday. I wouldn't be bringing my children Wednesday nights and getting them confirmed. And, so again, it was generational. Some people are in the situation where they need to break that generational curse. In other words, meaning my dad didn't go to church. My parents weren't involved. There's a few of those parents now that kind of stepped up and are now leading this new tradition, which is wonderful. But to follow that core set of values and to pass that on, I think, goes a long way for faith in a family. The values that we pass on as parents are very crucial for our children, especially, to navigate this new world. I think it's kind of all a new world for all of us, especially during this COVID times. Things are forever changing. Nothing's certain. You kind of just fly by the seat of your pants, which is good for our faith. I think that we need to be challenged in order to excel, I guess. So in short, as a parent, faith kind of helps me know the right and the wrong things and the things I'd like to pass on and maybe the things I need to talk to God about and not so much pass on, or maybe the things that I know I need to work on. By loving God above all, as a parent, we're just setting that right example for our family. Like I mentioned before, life has its stressors and families are no different. I think all the way from baby all the way up to, I've only got to experience 15 so far, but the teenage years, they all come with their pros. They all come with their, Lord, I need a breaks. I think that each one of them is completely rewarding, and each one of them has those moments where you could rip your ears off and tear your hair right out. Faith has kind of helped me manage my emotions and my actions on how I would gauge those certain situations. There's moments where I could be super up here over something very, very little, and I kind of step back and say, okay, Lord, and my kids always kind of tease me too. If you hear me, Lord, grant me patience or grace, you probably don't want to be by me. It's just one of those things I kind of have to remind myself, in this moment, Lord, I need your help. So with me, with parenting, if my kids kind of hear me say that, they go. It's just one of those constant reminders that I need to do for myself because, like I said, we're humans. It's easy to act and then maybe, or react, I should say. But faith kind of helps me manage that emotional roller coaster of parenting. And then it also reminds me to be forgiving. If I expect God to forgive me for those things that I do wrong because I have this faith in him, I need to emulate that image of God and be forgiving as well. Reminds me to be forgiving when my kids do those things that kids are going to do. You feel like you've raised these kids, every possible way you could, right? And they're still humans. I think looking back at all our younger years, we can all say, well, that wasn't the smartest move, or I'm glad Facebook wasn't around for this. This generation kind of gets the picture proof that we never had. We always kind of had faith that nobody would find out. Them, not so lucky, thankful to all of us, or thankful for all of us parents now. But either way, it offers moments of clarity when you do need to give that forgiveness. Remind yourself it wasn't too far long ago that I was that age, or that I was that, sorry to say, but dumb. It's just one of those things you learn for sure. Faith also offers a lot of opportunities for enjoying activities together. If it wasn't for my faith, I wouldn't be here tonight. We wouldn't be getting this camaraderie, not only with my fellow community members, my church members, but the kids. Confirmation, the ski trips, the things that we do. Without faith, we really wouldn't have that activity together. So really, these are bond-building moments, whether you look at it that way or not. A lot of times the kids will come here, I want to play ping pong. But I don't know how many times in that ping pong room has a lesson been learned. So I guess it's one of those moments that faith kind of gives you opportunities that help build that help build your family bond. Like I said, the church, the community events, the youth group, list goes on. Without faith, none of that would happen. So lastly, I would like to talk about faith and my vocation or my job. Like Alan mentioned, I'm at the nursing home here in town. I have been there for about 5 years now. I love working there. As a child, my dad grew up, he was paraplegic, so he used crutches for all of his mobility, had a lot of assistive devices. My sister and I learned to work real early, a lot by default, just for the sole fact that he needed the help. I remember growing up, I kind of always wanted to be a nurse. We were in and out of the doctor's offices a lot. My dad kind of always teased Tammy and I that she would be a teacher and I'd be a nurse. And lo and behold, we grew up to be a teacher and a nurse. And I think the reason that is because I kind of tease her that she does the younger generation and I kind of like the older generation. So it kind of works out that way. But I've always wanted to be a nurse, and really one memory, and the memory could be as foggy as ever, but what I remember as a child is there was a really terrible experience that my dad had gone through. He was in the hospital. I think we were getting some braces for his legs fit or something, and he had the most awful nurse one of you could imagine. Bedside manner, non-existent, rude, short, and he took it with such stride. And I kept thinking like, oh, Dad, you better tell her off. She's awful. Like, say something. He didn't. He just was continuing to be kind. He was overkind, and I thought as a kid, that's weird. But in looking back, he was kind of killing her with kindness, or passing. I'm going to pay it forward regardless of your behavior. I'm going to be good. But he had this most awful nurse, and I thought to myself, I'm going to grow up, and I am going to be so much better than what you were to my dad, because I never want somebody to feel, and she wasn't even mean to me, she was mean to him, but I'm the one who felt sad about it, and I'm the one it affected, and it didn't bother him a bit. And I got to the car after that situation, and I said, Dad, why did you let her treat you that way? Why didn't you stand up to her? And as humans, it's our first response to get angry and react. Him being a man of God by that point in his life, he really taught me that sometimes you need to turn around and look at, how do you know she didn't just lose her mom? How do you know she didn't just lose her husband? How do you know that wasn't the worst day of her life, and the worst thing she did to me was be a little more stern than maybe she'd like? However, looking back, that story affected the rest of my life. From that moment on, I knew nursing was for me. I was going to be the best caregiver I could be. And then, like I said, we spent a lot of time in the hospital, so I got to see other people in needing care. And as a kid, you're really curious. What's going on in there? What's that dressing? I want to see. Is that a baby I hear? So he used to kind of get after us. Don't run around the halls in the hospitals and whatnot. And, so we kind of got our little taste of nursing home care there, or nursing care, excuse me. But I always knew that it was my calling. So growing up, it wasn't what am I going to be? College is going to be difficult. What do I choose? It was a hard, dead fast, this is what it is. I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to do this. So that's what I did. Life got in the way, and then I ended up going back to college, and it ended up working out anyways. But I chose Pelican Valley for my hopeful future. I'd like to retire from there. It is such a great place to work. And one of the reasons I actually chose Pelican Valley is because it's actually a faith-based facility. The other nursing homes that I had worked in before were all Good Samaritans, those two being faith-based facilities. I think that, excuse me, so Pelican Valley has kind of been a cornerstone in our community for over 65 years. I think it was started in like 1945. It was started by an A.R. Knutson, and he was a Christian man in our community that was actually he was a Christian man driven by his faith that established Pelican Valley. And then he started serving patients, and then eventually it became the hospital, and then eventually, even after that, I think physical therapy had been out of there. Now, I think the clinic still runs out of there. There's a assisted living on one of the sides. That's one of our sister buildings. And then Oaks is another, caregiving facility, but we're all kind of ran out of that same building. But as far as the nursing home goes, up to this present day, we're still serving the community in that way. And faith is a huge part of my job. As a healthcare worker, like I said, I wanted to find that job in that specific place, being a faith-based facility. I wanted a job that would glorify God. I know that God says in the Bible, your job is to go out and serve others, and this was just kind of my calling. So not only did I want to do nursing home work, elderly work, but I wanted to do it for a faith-based facility. And so as nursing and in healthcare, it does help me demonstrate God's love. I can kind of share that message God would want. So as nursings, you're kind of charged with providing the physical, emotional, and the spiritual health care of your patients. As a healthcare worker, I live out my faith daily. And like I said, I feel nursing is truly serving Christ as he commands us to take care of one another. So nursing plays an integral part of both preventing and easing suffering. So mind you, your faith comes into play a lot when you're suffering. Kind of like I'd mentioned before, a lot of times we want somebody to blame, and some of us are smart enough to realize that we don't need the blame, we just need the support. And God is easy to turn to for both. So with nursing, I would say that helping ease that suffering, or even just preventing suffering, kind of helps me with my faith. When it comes to emotional care, that's another big integral part of nursing. So when you're in a healthcare system or a doctor or anything, I think it's safe to assume that you're probably nervous and anxious. It's probably not your best day. A lot of times when you even have babies, things can go wrong. I mean, you go there for this congratulations of a lifetime, but there are things that actually go wrong. So a lot of times in healthcare, people are feeling very hopeless, especially in a nursing home setting. I don't know what to do about my mom with dementia that is so far gone she doesn't recognize me. I don't know what to do about my husband who's got, stage 4 cancer, And a lot of times, especially in the nursing home, because we are such an end-of-life facility in skilled care, you kind of actually help the families just as much as you do your patient. Caregiver burnout, it's a very real thing. And anybody who has experienced that, it's a lot. It's not only a lot emotionally, it's a lot physically. So really in healthcare in the nursing home setting, you kind of, like I said, you get to know these people. It's that extended care to the family that you kind of give that kind of lets you keep doing God's work. Let's see. My faith also helps me offer emotional support to let those people who are still with us, or even those people who are in that stage 4 or whatever situation may be, that they're not alone. Being a faith-based facility, we are allowed to sit down and pray with them, call their pastor up if we think they need it. And there's been countless times I've called Alan and said, hey, can you come on over? So-and-so's maybe not having the best day, or maybe they're nearing, end of life more than we had thought. So that kind of position here at Pelican Valley, I kind of respect, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm doing God's work in those situations. Finally, spiritual care. The nursing home goes hand in hand with that end of life, like I said. It's a very real part of our job, and I would have to say that is probably the most difficult part of our job, because working with these residents daily, they become your friends. They become, my youngest still, are you going to help all the grandmas and grandpas? All the kids, you get to go work with the grandmas and grandpas. So we kind of all tease that, I'm with the grandmas and grandpas. But those grandmas and grandpas, if you really get to know these people, they're amazing people. The stories, and I think that's why I like elderly care, is the wisdom some of these people have. It would just knock your socks off. The stories that they can tell, the advice they can give, the experience that they've had. So it's impossible not to form a relationship with these people. So when the Lord does decide to call them home, it's hard. It's hard for us workers. It's hard for, I ate breakfast with Edna every year for the last 3 days, and now this morning she's gone and not here. It's hard to go on with your 12-hour workday after that. It's difficult to get a body ready that you have cared for so long. It's hard to see the family that you've grown to love and eat dinner with, and even out now in passing, you'll be at Larry's and then you'll have a conversation. It's not just work. It becomes your life. It becomes your routine. So, like I said, it's difficult not to form that relationship. They become our friends. So where my faith comes in part with this is my faith gives me strength. Like I said, we've had to get down and pray. I have been in situations where I have literally held the hand of someone, praying with them, and they have died in my hands. It's a surreal moment, but it is a moment that I think a lot of people would look as a burden, but I kind of look at like a reward. God chose me to be with that person in those moments. And I think being a person of faith, it's hard not to feel. It's hard not to feel that empathy and that sorrow with the family and with the resident. So in those moments, I would have to say that faith probably gives me strength because it reminds me that earth is kind of just our temporary home. It's so easy as a human to say, this is it. I got to make it to this, or I can't wait to, now that I've had children, now I can't wait for grandkids. And I mean, it's never going to happen to me, I don't need to wear a seatbelt. It's just going to be a quick trip. I think that we as humans think time on earth is ours, and it's not. That's not up to us. It's just temporary, and when it gives me strength when God decides to set them free. So when a resident does pass, we do a bedside memorial as employees. It's an employee-led one, and I've never been scared to speak in front of a large group of people. I've never been the quiet one in the back. So often my coworkers will ask me to do that leading of that memorial service. And every single time I have done it, I get through it, but it's that first utter of their name. So it's kind of just like a response and recite type of deal like we did with the service. Congregation says this, I'll say this, family members say this. Every single time I've done it to date, my voice is so darn shaky when I get to that person's name because for whatever reason, it's your job. You're just doing it. It is my job to go in there and, clean up this person who is now deceased. It is my job to make sure they're available and ready for the family, and then the coroner, and then Jude down at the funeral home. However, like I said, our jobs have burdens and weights, I guess. But because you go through the motions, it never gets easier. It never gets simpler, kind of preparing your friend for now their next journey. So every single time I get through that, I kind of have that moment of where I need to take that deep breath at that bedside memorial. And then I ask God in that moment, because immediately after you say their name, it asks you to go into the Lord's Prayer. And I'd be lying if I said I don't think I've ever made it through that Lord's Prayer, because in that moment while that family is praying, I'm asking God, please give me faith right now. I need this. I need your strength in this moment, because this moment is not about me. This moment is about them. This moment is about the people hurting in this room. And this moment is about the journey that this now friend, loved one, whatever have you, is going on. So it kind of helps me center myself in those moments. This is difficult for me, but I need to have faith that God's going to walk us all through this. And leading by example, others, family members see that faith. Like I said, like that Bedside Memorial, even though it's difficult, that is the time I feel the most proud. So you can see that gratitude, even though they're hurting, even though they're sorrowful, you can see the gratitude on that family's face. Thank you for caring for my mom, my dad, my sister. And sometimes, and that's what makes my job rewarding. We do have those moments of where, some residents are ornery. That's the way it goes. Some residents are real easy to get along with. Some residents you can do no right. But having that faith in those hard moments kind of reminds me that I am doing God's work. And like I said, those are the moments that make it worth it. Those are the reasons you come back after that 12-hour long shift or working short. If anybody knows, I'm sure all of the jobs out there right now are working short, understaffed, don't have enough. Healthcare, that is a very, very real and serious thing. I've known, like even LB Homes, it's a hospice facility. They didn't have enough nurses, so they dissolved. It's just one of those things that we are doing God's work, and every, I think, community needs healthcare in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like nursing, healthcare, nursing home care, the whole well-rounded gig, I think it truly is doing God's work. So, like I said, I rely on my faith a lot during my job. Nursing is probably one of the most challenging professions, but like I said, it is also probably one of the most personally fulfilling. It grants you the amazing opportunity, in my opinion, to make a real difference in the lives of others while still being able to serve God. And faith kind of makes all of that possible. So I want to thank you for letting me share my ideas on faith and what it kind of means to me. And now I'd like, I guess, to open up for any questions or discussion. If anybody has any questions. Nope.
It sometimes takes us a moment to warm up. So I'll start with the question.
Sure.
You mentioned early on about praying and how there can never be enough prayer. And I know how busy you are. If anyone's ever seen Torri in action, she's moving from one patient to the next room.
Yes.
And is on the move. So oftentimes we don't want to get in her way. But is there something that you do that can help you slow down and have a moment of prayer despite being on 12 days in a row working, despite being exhausted, despite those call and those lights being turned on before you go and see your next patient?
Okay, so in nursing, like you said, it's very, very fast-paced. A lot of times you work short. It's very easy to get frustrated. I'm actually one of the leads there when it comes to the floor. And so I always try to remind myself, lead by example. Fake it till you make it. Throw that smile on if you have to, kind of. And some days you truly, today was one of those days, guys. Some days you truly do have to paint on that smile. But I think to answer your question, those moments that kind of make me personally slow down is, I don't know what it is about me. I kind of look into people's eyes, and they kind of tease because I'm one of the girls there that wears glasses, so I'm very, very conscientious about glasses care. You can't see out of dirty glasses. So that's something I'm very, very aware of. So I have this tendency to look in their eyes. Sometimes your eyes can speak so much greater volumes than what words you have. And when you see that scared, that hopeless, that sorrow, that loneliness, that is a huge, huge, huge part of nursing home, the loneliness, that's when I kind of put myself in check and say, hey, slow down. This person might need 5 minutes. And a lot of times you can be going through the routine and going through the motions, like I said, and then it'll hit you. You'll look up and they're about ready to cry. Okay, what am I doing wrong in this situation? And a lot of the times, it's not proper, but a lot of times when you are short, it kind of feels like you're almost like herding cattle. We're going to meet your needs. We're going to get you where you need to go. But that's it. That's where the buck stops. Nursing, it's a holistic care. So you do have to remind yourself to slow down and see that spiritual, see that emotional value in the care that you're giving. So I think sometimes it'll be the way they look at you. And other times you'll walk by a room and you'll hear families laughing. And then you'll walk to the next room and you'll remind yourself that this person has not had a family member here in the last 3 years that I've worked here. I haven't seen a soul. Those are those moments that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hang out in here for 15 minutes. Whatever I have going on can wait. I work the cart. I work the floor. I'm the supplies manager up there as well. So I am pulled a lot of different directions at work. But sometimes it is easier to put those things on the back burner, the supplies, the whatever. And all of my employees, all of my staff members, all of my coworkers, they're all really great about recognizing that and giving you the time. Or if you have that particularly close resident and that one goes, and for you, you always knew Susie and Edna were always so great. My coworkers are really great about, hey, do you need to take an extra break right now? So with nursing, like I said, not only do you care for your patient, but you're caring for their families, and you're also caring for your team. There's been moments where I've been so close to that person, and I needed that minute. And those are those moments where I find myself tucked away in the family room bathroom, crying or praying or, asking God, help me get through this so I can help them get through this. So I guess that's what I'd have to say about that one. What do you think?
Are there a lot of volunteer opportunities there, or do you have volunteers?
We do have volunteers there. A lot of the volunteer opportunities most often come through activities. So we got a new activity gal. I think she's been there like 6 months. She worked in hospice before. She's really great. So she does. I know that Kat Gressrud has recently started volunteering, so I'm not sure exactly what fully the needs are, but almost any time, if you want to volunteer at a nursing home, we will find something, we will find someone, because a lot of times it's those people who don't have the family coming. It's those people who don't, and it's very hard for those residents to watch the other residents whose family comes every day, and you can just see that mental health in them just slowly, or if somebody's not healing as quickly as they would like. So mental health is a huge portion of it. So the volunteers, just spending time with them, reading a book, showing them the birds, taking them outside. It's just it does such a number, and it could be just 15 minutes out of your day. So technically, you don't have to be a volunteer to come and visit us. So come if you have time. But yes, there should be, and if it's something you're interested in, I would speak with Lois probably up there. And then it's just something you could do whenever you want. So, and they love when kids come, guys. Anybody else have a question or statement? All right. Well, I just want to say thank you, guys. I appreciate your time and listening to me go on and on. I hope you guys have a good evening.
Well, before you sit down, Torri, Alan and I both want to just say thank you so much. Thank you for your vulnerability, for sharing your story, and reminding us how important nurses are. And the reason why I say that is, as a pastor or experienced as a hospital chaplain, the second we show up to a hospital or a nursing home, we don't look for doctors. We don't look necessary for family right away. We look for the nurses, and the nurses give us that direction forward. The nurses are the ones that call us. They're the ones that page us. I would say that my pager would go off 90% of the time was from nurses saying, there's some family that needs help. There's a person that would really be wonderful use of prayer at this time. And so there are eyes in our ears, not only
doctors, but for pastors, for chaplains, and really an important part of the spiritual care. And I must say, as I think through this, and you mentioned shortly, and I know you're very humble about what you've done, but when you mentioned that there's patients that don't have family, what I've noticed is exactly what Torri said, is they become those patients' family and spend time and pray with them and, recognize that maybe they don't have a pastor. And sometimes they even probably become a pastor to them. So thank you for your faith. Thank you for sharing that with others and proclaiming Christ's love through word and deed in all that you do. I will be forever indebted to the nurses that have always pointed me in the right direction and provided an honest feedback without a hesitation. Straight shooters, no sugarcoating. And so thank you for doing that only for our community here in Pelican Rapids, but for honestly our faith family here and the children that I know you've had such an important impact on. And I know Alan's going to take some words too, and then we're going to give her a round of applause.
You said everything. But no, it is truly an honor to be able to have you share your faith, and both in your personal life, your family life, as well as your professional life. And I wish you God's blessings as you continue to journey through this life in the profession that you've been called into, in the ministries that God places before you. So this time oh yes, okay, let's give a round of applause. Have Keegan will come up, and if you want to direct your attention to the conclusion of our service, which is on the inside back cover, and Keegan will lead us in that.
Savior of the world, by our cross and precious blood you have redeemed us.
Save us, with help us. We humbly beseech you, O Lord.
Let's pray. We thank you, Almighty God, that you have delivered us from the dominion of the sin of the death and brought us to the kingdom of your Son. And we pray that as by his death he has recalled us to life, so by his love he may rise us to eternal joys, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one day, now and forever.
Amen.
To Christ our Lord, who loves us, washed us in his own blood, and made us a kingdom of priests to serve God and neighbor to him, be glory and dominion forever and ever.
Amen. Go in peace and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. Have a blessed evening, everyone. Safe travels home.